The fact that the Prime Minister is prepared to go into isolation for a fortnight when he gets back, well, it testifies to the importance of Scott Morrison's presence at the upcoming G7 meeting in Britain. To start with, there's the UK-Australia free trade deal, which the leaders are hoping to sign next week. Now, that deal should be as close as possible to the economic partnership that we have with New Zealand. No tariffs or quotas on goods, mutual recognition of standards and credentials, and the free-ish movement of people for well-paid work, not welfare, because no less than our Kiwi cousins, Australia and Britain have a shared history, and we've shed blood on the battlefield together right around the world. That makes a difference. It certainly shouldn't be derailed by the anxieties of British farmers mollycoddled for far too long by the protectionism of the EU. And it certainly shouldn't be derailed by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's newfound climate evangelism. Having just left the EU because it wanted to take back control of its own nation, Britain of all countries should understand that Australia won't have its climate policies dictated by anyone, not even close mates. But these economic partnership agreements are more about other things, not just trade. They're a signal to the wider world about who matters to us and who we trust. Now, if domestic politics means that Britain and Australia can't do a comprehensive free trade deal, what hope have democratic countries got of ever standing up to an aggressive China? And that's the other really significant dimension of this upcoming trip. As current chair of the G7, what Boris Johnson is really trying to do here is refashion the old Euro-centric, economics-focused G7 into something that's global and geopolitically focused. He wants it to be the D10, 10 major democracies, Britain, the US, Germany, France, Japan, Italy and Canada, joined by Australia, South Korea and India. India, unfortunately, won't be there in person due to the COVID crisis, but very much there in spirit. If at some point the G7 can formally segue into the D10, that would be good for our standing in the wider world, as well as a key signal to China that democracies are taking a stand against regional bullying and unfair trade practices. And that won't be without some awkwardness for Australia, because China remains our biggest trading partner, largest trading partner, even as it's become our biggest strategic challenge. We can't expect China to keep paying billions for our resources, given the furious rhetoric against us from Beijing. We have to expect that China will try and source iron ore from Africa and South America. We certainly can't expect Chinese students to be an easy source of revenue for our universities while they take away our intellectual property in the hard sciences. A key message out of this G7 come D10 is going to be the need to minimise China's presence in our own supply chains so that the communist regime can't disrupt domestic production in the same way that it's already disrupting exports. This is where, as the emerging democratic superpower, India has such a big role to play. As a country that understands commerce and respects the rule of law, India could readily meet some of the supply chain challenges that losing China might bring us. An important task for the Prime Minister, with an increasingly deft grasp of diplomacy, will be kickstarting our Australia-India free trade talks. After the Abbott government turbocharged them, they languished under Malcolm Turnbull. One thing Scott Morrison clearly understands is that India is an essential counterweight to an increasingly assertive and prickly communist dictatorship. And while he's got a lot on his diplomatic plate, this too is a priority.